Hello and welcome to the Heresy Lodge. I'm your host, Dylan Cooper, the constant co-host over here.
Gavin Franklin.
Guys, we are here this week to review Path of Heaven.
Path
Spoiler
of
alert,
Heaven.
it's really fucking good.
Very good. Makes me like the White Scars a lot.
Yeah, they're great. Before we get too far into the book, though, first things first, we have social media things. We are coming up to our 100th episode. We did mention that we would be doing a giveaway for that. That's still a thing. We just keep forgetting to talk about it. I think this is episode 93 or 94, so it's coming up here in a few episodes. So, all you gotta do is interact with us, tweet at us, join the Discord, email us, all the things. You can email us at theheresylodge@gmail.com. Our Twitter is @heresylodge, and our Discord is pinned to the top there. We're also on YouTube, so if you comment on there, I will also count that. If you're there, please like and subscribe as well. We did a Twitch stream yesterday. This will be a few days for you guys. It was fun. We did TTS. For those that don't know, it's Tabletop Simulator. We just played a game of Warhammer on a
Tau
really
versus
crappy
Grey
system.
Knights.
Yep. So check that out. It was fun. Hopefully to do more of those. I think I run this by you, but I think it'd be something fun to do is whenever we are preparing for Chicago, like going over our list and stuff and just doing little videos about that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe just streaming it because that's probably easiest.
Yeah, it's a nice little way for us to put those streams online. I'll be putting that video on YouTube probably by the time you guys are listening to this. So it will be available on YouTube as well. So if it's something you like, just some of those like battle reports, they're not in person. We may get back to doing one or two of those in person in the future, but as of right now, just sticking to TTS.
Yep. So those are all those things. We also have tips enabled, and may have merch coming soon. TBD.
Oh yeah, merch TBD. There's some amazing drawings being sent around the Discord. We have some crazy talented people in our little community.
We do, and it makes me wonder how in the hell we attracted them because we aren't very creative. We kind of suck.
We have some talented people, and then we have other people.
We have some real degenerates.
And we are of the second category.
Yes, yeah, we're not talented.
We
so
are not
only
the
one other category we can be in.
Yeah. But we always appreciate our hobby channel in the Discord and all the great things that they share. I love seeing those miniatures. Like Beth and Fallen, they have some phenomenal stuff that they share, and other people as well that I know I'm missing. But yeah, what do you?
Upstep, whatever. Luke, there are all kinds of people in there. It's awesome.
What are you drinking today, sir?
Oh man,
you're excited.
This is a really good beer. So September. So I'm going really hard now. All beers. And first up, from Three Floyds again. They are always reoccurring because they're just so good. But for the first time ever, I don't know if this is actually the first time ever. It's the first time I've ever seen an Oktoberfest from them. So I'm drinking their Munsterfest, which is an Oktoberfest. Really cool artwork. It's like Godzilla versus Magnus with two eyes and a sword. I don't know, but it's fucking sick. What do you
know those guys play Warhammer. I would love to just go up there.
They have to.
I mean, they have one called Dreadnought. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Well, what am I drinking? I'm drinking scotch.
Hey, I respect that.
Now, you're probably wondering, Gavin, you alcoholic fuck, why are you drinking scotch? And it's because it's going to discourage me from drinking more.
Honestly, I'm thinking to myself, damn, why am I not drinking scotch?
You ever have one of those weekends? I had one of these weekends where like you just have like an open day and your girlfriend's there, which I know you haven't ever experienced, but try to imagine for me.
Yeah,
right?
I skipped the girlfriend phase. I just got married. It was arranged and everything.
You're sitting there, you got nothing to do, and your girlfriend's like, let's go to a winery. And you live in Kentucky, so it's actually a distillery. And then you go to 2 distilleries and 2 wineries just to do tastings because you're classy. And then at the end of the day, you're like, holy fuck, I'm so fucking drunk.
Yep.
That's happened. That happened this weekend.
Done that a few times in my time.
Yeah, so I'm trying to this week. I'm toning it down a little bit because that was a rough couple days of recovery. So decided to go for scotch in order to discourage drinking more. Whenever I drink beer or wine or mead from the podcast, I want to go out to dinner and grab another one. So that's why I'm trying to slow that down a little bit.
Most of the time, like if I have a 4-pack, it's gone.
If
I have a 6-pack, I normally have like 2 left.
There you go.
Depending on how my day went.
Yep. All right. So
I know you wanted to. Do you want to do your rant real quick about what happened to you this last term before we get deep into Path of Heaven?
Oh my goodness. So there was a thing that I did go to a tournament last weekend. I placed like 8. It was a small tournament. It was like 12 people. I got like 8th or 7th place. But I did run to the situation. I'm getting more nervous as we grow about talking about people I've faced because I'm really concerned that like they're listening.
Honestly though, maybe they need to hear it.
Maybe they need to hear it. Yeah. All in all, there were 2 major things that happened this tournament. Really, yeah, 2 major things. And I probably won't be going back to tournaments in this area. I'm trying to be obscure about it. 3 major things, and all of them happened at a different game. The first game, I got matched up against some Emperor's Children, and it was a good game. Like none of the people cheated me in any way, shape, or form. But this person comes to the table and is like, "This is my second time playing this army," and that's fine. But he took forever. Okay, now let me give you like a breakdown scenario here. We're at a tournament. This guy brings a psyker, and the psychic ability is he can bring back a model from a unit, right? He goes to cast it. He's like, I don't actually see where it says I can do this. I was like, okay, well, let's take a look. Like he has no idea like how to play his army whatsoever. I'm like, okay, well, let's take a look. And I can't find it. And somebody says, oh, it's a psychic power. It's called this. And the psyker didn't know the psychic power. You have to choose your psychic powers before coming into the game. He's like, man, that's the only reason I brought this guy. Do you mind if I like do that? I'm like, I don't care. That doesn't bother me. I'm like, fine. Like, absolutely. I was like, just be cautious because other people will freak out about that. Like, that is absolutely something that people will freak out. Like, oh no, this is your list. This is what you bring. It doesn't bother me. The problem I had is we spend 20 minutes trying to figure it out. And so just like, there's an idea, right? Like when you play a game, because I'm about to talk about the second problem, which was by far the biggest problem to me, my second game.
I can't wait for to talk about it again.
when you play a game, okay, your opponent gets to know your style of play by how you act in the game. Okay, if you're a lenient player like me, I'm a very lenient player. Okay, and the guy's like, hey, I meant to take this psychic power. Whatever, that's fine. I'm going to let you do that, okay? He knows that he can relax now. I'm not going to try and cheat him out of anything. Like, I'm not a person that's going to, like, be really antsy about ridiculous rules, that kind of stuff, you know? And that's how it was played, because that's how I like to play 40K. Like, I think it gets really weird when people get weird about stuff.
Agreed.
So we go to my second game.
This is the nice guy?
This is the nice guy. I want to say, like, if you're ever playing 40K and if you ever go to a tournament, I never do this. I highly suggest you never do it either. Never sit down at a table and say, I'm a fantastic sport. I play by intent. Everything I do, I'm just going to be super obvious about. I'm going to roll in the thing, and then I'm going to re-roll the dice if they don't fall into the dice tray. And you just go on a spiel about how good of an opponent you are. I know that you're about to be some terrible thing to work with.
It's like when you're dating. If you call yourself a nice guy, you're probably not.
You're probably a bad person. So, like, I don't like go onto a rant like that because I just have a level that I respect my opponents. And I just kind of expect that. And most of the time, that's exactly how it is, and it's totally fine. But a lot of times when people are like overly nice about stuff, I'm like, no, that's not always the case. Like the weekend before, facing those tank commanders, the guy kind of said to was like, I played my 10. I'm not here to win. He won the tournament. But I think
I'm not here to win,
but
I'm here to fucking crush your soul.
Exactly. But he was like nice. Like he wasn't like trying to cheat or anything. And like he was very like actually play by intent chill. But most of the time when people come to the table and like do that, I'm like, this is gonna be terrible. So he brought Necrons, and not only Necrons, he brought the Silent King, which is very flavor of the month right now, which is totally fine. I'm totally okay with in a tournament you take whatever overpowered shit you want. It's my responsibility as a tournament player to make a list designed to counter whatever flavor of the month it is. Well, I fucking didn't. I got my ass handed to me. And like it really is because of the list. There are some armies that I think can deal with Necrons a little bit better, and there are some armies that can't. And Tau, I don't think, are very good at dealing with Necrons. He started off, he had pre-game moves and regular moves, and like turn 1 took down all my tanks and my Riptide, and it was nasty. But that's okay. Like that's gonna happen. Like that's fine. That doesn't bother me. What bothers me is when the game starts and they go first, and then he moves a character and then says, okay, and then I'm going to enact this command phase ability on this unit. I was like, well, hold up. Command phase comes before your movement phase, so they would have to be within range in your command phase for you to activate that ability. So I don't think you can put it on that person. But if you can choose anyone else that was within range of him, like, again, I'm being really flexible because a lot of times people would just be like, no, you can't do that. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, you can't put on them because that does break the rules, but you can put it on anyone else. This guy was freaking the fuck out. First off, he thought I was trying to like end his movement phase. And he started like yelling and getting really defensive. He was like, I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to pigeonhole me into ending my movement. And I'm like, no, what? No, you can still move all your stuff. So he kept trying to tell me what he was doing was okay. And I'm like, I'm telling you, it's like he didn't grasp that command phase came before the movement phase, which really does make me think like this dude is a huge flavor of the month player.
Just a quick time out. How old do you think this guy was?
I don't want to give too many spoilers, but he was old. He was older.
Okay.
He was probably.
Honestly, I assumed he was younger with how he was acting.
Yeah, no, he was like older, made it even weirder. And like, I don't know. I don't want to get like too deep into things, but it did bother. He was a guy. He was the only guy wearing a mask, which is totally fine. But then he would go out and have smoke breaks with everybody in the parking lot with his mask off. And I was like, this is very strange. But to each his own. But anyway, as the game went further on, like he tried to play certain stratagems, and I was like, I'm not quite sure that actually works here. And in one scenario, he was like, he tried to play something. I was like, well, let's get the TO, which is very normal, by the way. Like if you're having like a rules dispute, you don't know, just bring the TO over. It's okay. Like it's a completely okay thing to do. But he was like, oh, you don't trust me? I'm like, guy. And turns out he couldn't do it. The TO came over and he couldn't do it. And I'm like, okay. and like there were other scenarios where like I rolled the dice that fell out of the dice tray. He went to go pick it up as I rolled the other one. And so he comes back up and he's like, oh, I really wish I would have seen you roll that. Like kind of like questioning whether or not I actually rolled it. And I'm like, come on, man. Like what you're literally killing me like 100 to 12. What makes you think that I'm trying to cheat my way to victory here? It's not a thing that can happen anymore. Like I could roll all 6s for the rest of the game and you're still going to win the game. So just a terrible opponent. Like that might have been the worst opponent that I've gone up against. I've had situations where I've gone against opponents that did like gotchas and stuff. And a lot of times they didn't realize that was like a bad way to play, which it is. But this guy was just like bad attitude. And then the last one, which I thought was very funny, actually, that Necron player went on and he ended up getting second place in the tournament because the third list he faced actually had some good counter against Necrons and actually was able to do some stuff to knock his points down. Third guy I faced actually ended up winning, and it was a totally fine like game. But what I thought was funny is at the end he actually added it up for me to win. And he was about to submit the score before I was like, hey, like, I'm looking over the score sheet. I don't think you did the math right on here. Like, you came out on top. So he's like, oh my gosh, you're totally right. Resubmitted the score sheet. But I realized his whole army was unpainted, but he gave himself the 10 points for painting. Now, I don't give a fuck because I don't want to, like, win a game by a painting score. I understand that. That doesn't feel good to me. Doesn't bother me at all. Like, you give yourself the 10 points. I don't care. But what's funny is that 10 points actually put him ahead of the Necron player. Who had like an expertly painted army.
Was very proud of it.
Yes. So like I feel like if the Necron player knew, he would have been pissed.
You're looking at like, you know what? I'm a nice guy.
Man, it was a weird term. I don't plan to go back to that. Both of my opponents, the opponent at the end, opponent in the beginning, phenomenal opponents. Never yell at your opponent.
That's so strange.
So weird. Never yell at somebody in tournament style, playing board game. Like, if anything, if you feel uncomfortable, bring a TO over, and you're fine. Like,
yeah, it's like what I'm nervous about, like the GT. Like,
that's the
it's like getting like taken advantage of.
Only time I've ever. Oh, people are gonna take advantage of you. That's another thing. I was telling you. Like, first game, I was playing next to another Tau player. And this dude was like pulling out stratagems that didn't exist. I could like overhear him. It's like, no, that's not a thing that the Tau can do. He killed like 5 people using an auto explode strat. We don't have an auto explode strat.
Well, at least if I go against like a Tau or 1,000 Sun, I at least know a decent amount about them. But I started watching battle reports again just so I could be like, okay, I need to know like other armies.
Yeah, and that's why I think like we'll do a couple more TTS before we head to Chicago, and I'll play a few different armies against you, so you kind of get like prepped for that.
Plus, we have a night to play a couple games.
Yeah, that's true. We'll be doing that for sure. Very excited about it. But man, that was a weird tournament. That was a weird. I wasn't cheating on anything. My score is perfectly fine. I'm okay with it. I just thought like the people that I faced, I'm like, don't play for the second time in a tournament. Like, it's your second time playing the army, and you didn't even take the right psychic abilities. Like, don't take that to it. That guy, really nice guy, really great. Third round, the tournament was over. He was on round 2 of turn 2 of his game.
Jeez.
In the last round. So I'm like, man, like.
Yeah, that was always something I was nervous about too. Is like just like not knowing my army, where I like now like I know like most of it off the top of my head.
Absolutely. That's enough ranting. That's a little bit of game stuff.
Now, Path of Heaven. I kind of just want to go into like a very quick rant. This book is fucking phenomenal.
Tell me.
And it does a lot of things
that we wanted.
Yes, that I've been like begging for.
Absolutely.
Character deaths for characters that have been built up for several books in short stories.
Make you sad. Made me feel emotions.
Yes, and like this is like one of those times where like short stories, like I honestly think really helped this because it showed us a lot of Shaban, Torgon, Yasugi, the scars in general, and it like actually helped a book. So A+ on that.
Yeah.
We have human characters who
that's what I was about to say.
Are great. Ilya, she's phenomenal.
Great point of view.
The Navigator dude, very interesting character.
Yes.
And honestly, I actually want to like talk about like kind of like what he did. I understand.
Yeah. This first off, I'll say this too. The level, the balance of battling and conversation, really well done in this book.
And I will say, for space battles, I could actually follow this really well.
Really well written. I also think the conversations that were had was like, I've been waiting for this conversation to have been said somewhere. Yes. It's like Chris Wraight, I feel like. Now, this may be a bold statement here, but Chris Wright may be the only author that reads the other author's books. But you kind of get what I'm saying, right?
Yes.
He's like, okay, I have the full scope of the Horus Heresy. What would I write about now? You know, where everyone else is really stuck into like word bearers and Ultramarines still for some reason.
We need more Calth.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like they all read like No Favors. Like, oh, we should only talk about that.
Let's do that. Let's do that exclusively in every short story ever. So where does Path of Heaven pick up? So it's been 4 years since
Which
Scars.
seems like a long time.
It does. This, like I said, this is the most up-to-date book that we have. This is like current timeline stuff.
How long did we determine the Great Crusade was?
The Great Crusade itself
Was it like 20 years?
No, it was over 50.
It was like 60 years or something.
I think it got into the hundreds.
I thought it was super short.
It was short. I was expecting it to be like a few hundred years old, but at max it was like maybe 100, 105 if you include the events of the Horus Heresy.
Okay, that makes more sense than
but I'm not 100% sure. Maybe somebody can tell us. It might be shorter than that, but I know we had to discover all the Primarchs. And I remember what really threw us off about that number was it was like all these Primarchs talked about their brotherly bond. And I'm like, you know, I haven't even like
a month.
Yeah, it's not even that big a deal.
You guys just figure out who Alfarius was, and you still don't know if it was Alfarius.
So
another thing about like it being 4 years. This is 4 years post Scars.
Yeah.
So that's probably like 5 or 6 years, really, post Isfahan.
This is very close to
Siege.
The Siege. Very close to the Siege. I think what we're getting into after Pharaohs really is, and all the other like weird short stories that we read. What we're really getting into is let's align the pieces, all of the legions and all of the characters for the Siege now, because we're getting into the point where it's just like book 34,
something like that.
I got it right here. I don't know why I'm even looking. 36. Wow. And we've read Gara already, so this is really like book 37. So yeah, we're getting really close to the finish line here of the Horus Heresy. So we're really prepping for the Siege. And I think what you'll see is there's only like a few books after this that are like take place after the Path to Heaven, and that I think is going to be like Praetorian Adorn, although that might actually be taking place at the same time because it's talking a little bit about how the War Master's forces are probing the defenses of Terra.
I'm really excited for that one.
Yeah, and then like Crimson King, I think is probably taking place along this time too, because it's about what Magnus is doing in preparation for the Siege. I think the only two that I know for sure will take place after this are going to be
Spain.
Spain and the Dagger, the Bear Dagger, because that is actually like a direct sequel to this, I think.
Yeah, I can see that.
So the book picks up that long, and basically what's happening with the Scars is their legion is completely shattered. They're the only legion currently fighting the War Master's forces, and
which I find interesting because isn't that why Corax left Terra, was to fight Horus and leave all the time?
Yeah, but Horus lets us know how that's going. We'll talk about that discussion. Yeah, so we get this kind of broken legion of the Scars, and they're just engaging in a lot of hit and run tactics. That's how the Scars work. They strike fast, they leave fast, and even though they win a lot, they're losing a lot of their numbers. So their legion is weakening over these 4 years, and they've had multiple chances to get to Terra, but they declined them all to fight, to continue to fight, which is really upsetting Ilya, the human character in here.
Yeah, and Ilya, you should remember her from the short story and from Scars. Fantastic character. She's an older woman who was in charge of the logistics of the Legion, but she's really gained their respect. And she's like old, like old. Like they're constantly like, damn, she's an old bitch. But
That's what they do.
Like everything that she does like makes sense, and like she's like ripping out her like, please, for the love of Christ, let's go to Terra.
Yeah, she has a conversation with Yasugi in this book, which I think we can get into now because it really ideals this. It's a great conversation where she's just like yelling at this space marine, and she's like, why in the hell do you guys keep doing this stupid shit? Like, you keep getting into battles that you can't win. You keep turning down ways to do what you're supposed to do, like going to Terra. You keep like sacrificing yourself in these like weird. They want to have honor. She's like, honor is stupid. Yeah. You're not going to win wars with honor. And if so much came from like the point of view of the reader, where I'm like, yeah, I've been thinking this the whole time. Space Marines are stupid. Like, they're really dumb. There's so many different ways to just like, if I was a commander, I would take advantage of all of their mental weaknesses by making them think they're fighting for honor in a losing battle.
Yeah.
And Ilya's voicing this opinion, and Yasugi, he doesn't disagree with her. You know, he's just like, we are how we are. And she's like, that's such a fucking White Scars thing to say.
That's a shit answer.
You piece of shit. So when we pick up the book, what's happening is Jagatai has listened to Ilya, and they have agreed to search for Ilya's last-ditch effort, essentially, to get back to Terra, and that is to find this astropath. Peter.
Something.
Peter. She needs to find Peter, and she believes he's on this specific planet. So the book basically opens up with the Scars doing their hit and run tactics, and it's actually really cool.
Yeah.
Because you start with Torben? Shaban. Yeah, and he's all messed up.
Yeah, Shaban, the Techmarir or something. Techmancer, I don't know what the fuck they call him.
Technomancer.
Technoseer.
Yeah, Techseer. Yeah, whatever. He's got
Yeah. Poor guy. R.I.P. his body, I guess.
Yeah, he got blown up previously. So he's engaging in some combat with an Emperor's Children vessel that he rigs to just explode. He basically takes over the vessel, rigs it to explode. Emperor's Children show up, and then he leaves, and it explodes on them. It was actually pretty cool. And that was supposed to be a feint. So this whole time, the White Scars are fighting Edelon's forces, because Edelon's decided to just peace out Fulgrim, I guess. And he's got his own little command. And so Edelon is able to discern, hey, they're not going for this carrier hole. What they're doing is they're distracting us so they can go for this warp gate. So that's where Jagatai is going to be. So he sends a bunch of forces to this warp gate. This warp gate's very strange. Destroyed by Portorabo at the beginning of the Horus Heresy, but Edelon's banking on the fact that Jagatai and the Scars don't know that. And how does this work again?
So, I don't know, it's kind of weird. And the warp gate's like there. It's just super protected.
Well, yeah. So the warp gate, I was kind of questioning the warp gate. Like the warp gate works. It's like a path. It's
really weird because like every time we've ever talked about the warp, there's never been gates.
Yeah,
there's just this like magical gate.
Yep.
That like leads you to Terra. I don't know. That seems weird to me. I feel like it was just made up at this time.
Yeah, so it does seem like a bit of a plot device, but it's not really important here because it's all a lie. But it's essentially like a gate to multiple pathways in the warp, so you can travel the warp faster. So Edelon's thinking the Scars are trying to use that to get to Terra. So he shows up with a huge force. The White Scars show up with a huge force. And it's a battle. Edelon's got his noise marines, and then the White Scars bring down...
I think, just like while you're looking that up, an interesting thing is Edelon is just in charge of the Third Legion now. Like, they don't know where the fuck Fulgrim is.
No one knows.
So Edelon's like, well, I guess I'm the Primarch now.
Yeah, and Edelon has this idea that he's going to kill Jagatai, which multiple characters in this book like laugh at. But Quinza is the guy that Jagatai sends to this battle of the portal. And it's a really cool battle. Quinza ends up dying, but he was teleported out by Arvida, our
Yes.
Thousand Sun guy.
Yes. So I can't wait till the end. Well,
Yeah.
we'll talk about him in the end, but Arvida is a very big character.
Arvida's
especially
character,
for me.
yeah, in this book, it's so cool because he's dealing with the flesh change, and we get a lot more insight into the flesh change in this book than we do anywhere else.
It's not anything like I expected.
No, it was so cool.
Because,
So
like, when I imagined it in Thousand Suns, it was almost just like this like weird like flesh mutation. Like they just kind of like I imagine like they just kind of like turned into monsters and like exploded. But it's not really like that.
yeah, so the more that Arvida uses the warp, the more he feels the pressure of this flesh change, and it's basically like what we experience in the book is like his body swells and it fuses to his armor to where he can't take it off, that kind of thing. And he goes through almost like waves of the flesh change becoming bigger, but then it recedes and then it becomes a thing again. And he's like really mentally trying to fight this flesh change off, because I do think what eventually does happen is if he loses control and it peaks too high, he does turn into a monster. It kind of explodes.
Yeah, and I think it's talked about in one of the short stories too, where like he doesn't take off his helmet anymore because like it's affecting his like entire body.
Yeah, so he would look completely different. He probably looks a little grotesque right now, but it like I said, it goes through waves. So
I'd fuck
him. He's still fuckable to me. Edelon's like, I don't know.
See a snake? Nah, I don't only fuck snakes.
I'm kind of a snake guy. So Quinza does die. Quinza was a character that was in Scars. Don't really know too much about him.
I don't remember him.
Yeah.
The only ones I really remember from Scars was Yasugi, Shaban, Targon, Ilya, and Jochi. Yeah, Jochi.
Yeah, something like that. But Quinza is basically like the second in command to Jagatai. So it's kind of a weird one. I can't remember whether or not it was Quinza or who is the other one? Is it Jubal? Yeah, Jubal Khan.
Yes, Jubal.
Who took off Abaddon's head or his face? One of them did.
Axamons?
Yeah, Axamons. One of those two.
It might have. Ooh.
Was it Quinza? Because we get that short story with Axamon, but we actually don't know what period it takes place in, and it's somewhere in these 4 years because they're fighting the Scars. Yeah, we'll look into it. One of those two. Yeah, one of those two took off the Axamon's face. That's kind of cool one. So anyway, it might be Jubal.
Maybe.
Yeah. So Arvida teleports Quinza out of there, and the Emperor's children succeed at defending the portal, which is hilarious because it was another feint. Now, this is frustrating to me. This part of the story is very frustrating to me. When Quinza is dying, he reveals that the portal was just a way to distract them so they didn't go to Planet X. Why the fuck did he say that?
Yeah, it was a very honestly not Space Marine thing to say.
It was a very Space Marine thing to say, actually. It was really dumb. It was like, I'm going to rub this in your face. We're actually at Planet X. He could have just not disclosed their location.
No, it was Henricos that sliced off Axamon's face.
Well, shit. Guess these guys don't even matter then. Yeah, Henricos isn't in here.
Nope, never even heard of the guy.
Nope. All right. Well, anyway. Yeah, so Quinza reveals that both of the feints were a feint, which was a very White Scars thing to do. But he also tells Edelon what planet they're actually going to.
I would assume that it had to have been like far away.
Yeah, and also maybe the White Scars were assuming that they would find out really quickly, like, hey, Planet X has fallen to the White Scars, but what a dumb move.
Yeah, it didn't really make sense why he would say that.
Yeah, so that fails, and the White Scars end up at that planet to look for Peter. They don't find him, but they find a navigator who worked for Peter at some point in time.
Well, he's not even an actual navigator. He's just like a dude.
Yeah, just a guy. But
and he's very. I mean, it's very interesting because like the whole time, his planet is actually being invaded by the Third Legion, and his, I guess, the governor of the planet, like waited a long time before they actually like tried to do anything about it, and he's just fucking running.
Yeah,
and like people are like sacrificing themselves for him. So you're like, holy shit! Like this guy's got to be like high up.
Yeah, he has to be important in some way.
Yeah, and so then, like he is running, and then he gets saved by Yasuki and Ilya.
Which is when they have the conversation we talked about earlier. Now, that's the intro to the book, essentially. That is the intro. It's like you get these double feints, and you get them arriving, and they don't find Peter, but they find this guy. What you get next is kind of like the bridge from the intro to the main thing, which is a conversation between Horus and Mortarion, which is one of my favorite parts of the book.
This is really cool. And honestly, it makes so much sense too.
It is. It's exactly why I think Chris Wright like reads the books, because he's like, what is this? So you have Horus meeting Mortarion, and this is after Moloch, so he's all godded up. And Horus asks Mortarion to go and kill Jagatai. And Mortarion's like, no, fuck that. Because he wants to be at Horus's side whenever they go to Terra. But Horus isn't having it because apparently Mortarion's the only one he has left.
At least of sane mind that's on the same page as him.
Yes.
And he says that too. He's like, look, Angeron, he's a fucking monster right now. Like, I don't know what the fuck to do about that. Lorgar, I'm pretty sure he's sucking a Chaos God's dick right now. I literally don't know what else he could be doing. But that's got to be that.
Fulgrim is definitely sucking Chaos God's dick right now. Like,
did he see the guy last time?
Like, I know that for a fact. No one knows what planet he's on because he's lost, but that is what's happening.
Who else is there? Porter Rob was actually doing shit. He's like, look, Porter Rob, I actually need him to like do other things.
Yeah, and he does describe the funny like concept of sending Porter Rabo against the Scars, because he's like, they don't have any fortresses for him to tear down, so he would just dig ditches and they would run around him. That is literally what he said.
And he's like, and the Alpha Legion, I don't even know if I'm even talking to off areas right now. I don't know what the fuck's happening.
He actually said, I'm pretty sure they're fighting each other, which is true.
Yes.
So like,
but is it? Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. So he starts like laying out all this, and Mortarion's like, well, why even bother with Jagatai? And Horus is like, look, Rogel Dorn and Lehman Russ are at Terra. We know where they're at. But Russ is gonna come for me here soon, and he's gonna get his ass kicked. It's basically
it's like random marks on my ship. I think he's coming.
He sent Nathaniel Garo to draw on my ship with crowns.
I left him though because that's fucking hilarious. He has the blueprints.
Yeah, Garo did that. Freaking furries.
It's that way.
They're gonna come on my ship with their little wolf helmets.
You think I'm into that? A little bit.
He talks about how Gilliman and the Angel and Lionel Johnson are trapped behind the warp storm, and he's like, everybody's locked. Now there's 2 Primarchs he doesn't mention.
I do think it's interesting that he knows the Lions there. And really that he knows Sanguinius is there too.
Well, we would know where they're at, because if you recall in Scars, Yasugi found that the Traitor Legions have access to like a map of the warp, and the demons are showing them like where the ships are.
True, I forgot about that.
Oh yeah,
the random tomb that like said like a word like, oh, The mighty Conch has spoken.
The mighty Conch. So the only two Primarchs Horus doesn't mention is Magnus, which makes Magnus is one. It makes me assume at this point Magnus is still yet to decide what he's doing, and he probably never will.
True. That, and Magnus is not really Magnus right now, who's just kind of shards.
Yeah. And the other one he didn't mention, of course. Oh,
Curse? He didn't mention Curse.
He doesn't mention Curse, no.
He's like,
That's
I don't
the
know
other
what the
one.
fuck that psycho is.
Yeah, he's like, let's not even talk about Curse. No one was talking about him. He does say Corax. He does talk about Corax. Like, Corax is, Varus Manus is dead, and Corax is, well, he's just kind of running around with, like, a skeleton army. That's what he says.
It's like 9 guys.
Yeah, it's literally voices our opinion. He's like, there's like 6 of them. And then he says, of course, when Vulcan's dead.
Just wait.
I got a book for him to read.
You should really read Deathfire.
Oh, it's great.
It will open his eyes.
So it's just really interesting how he mentions all these Primarchs. And he just says, all of them are locked down. And I need Portorabo. You and Jagatai are the only ones like left. So I need you to go figure that out. It's kind of interesting how the Primarchs are really pairing off now. Like someone's fighting X person, you know, that kind of thing. So Mortarion gets sent out. It's really interesting. When Edelon hears about this, he decides, fuck it, I'm just not going to even team up with them. He tells Mortarion to team up with Edelon.
I think a really cool thing, or at least maybe not cool, but very interesting, is after all this happens, Mortarion calls his army back, and Typhus totally ignores him and doesn't show up.
Straight up doesn't say it. Now, we haven't actually seen a lot of Typhus. Typhus only made an appearance in 3 books, and he made an appearance in
short story.
Yeah, short story with the lion. He made an appearance in
Eisenstein.
Prospero Burns, and he made an appearance in Eisenstein. I think that's it. And what we know of Typhus more recently is from that short story with the lion, and he has been gifted the curse of Nurgle. He is now all Nurgled up. So who knows what he's doing? Maybe he's just saying "fuck you" to Mortarion.
He's gonna bring him some flies. And then Mortarion can become Lord of the Flies.
I got you some flies, mister. I'm sorry I was late. I was collecting them.
Comes just with a jar.
You'd be surprised there's very few planets that actually just have flies naturally. So
Nurgle's like, damn it, he's right.
I can't bring my flies anywhere. They die from the lack of gravity and oxygen. So very limited chaos god. Mortarion is also kind of interesting character here. We talked about this in the preview a little bit, how he's delving in Warpcraft. And he is like refusing to admit it, though, weirdly. Like he's having like an identity crisis with warp magic.
Yes. I mean, this is like from the short story too, where it's really weird how he's like, well, I'm gonna learn about it, but it's not cool.
I'm gonna learn about it to beat it. Sure.
What is interesting though is how like Edelon just like knows. He's like, yeah, it'll come for you eventually. Like you're not hiding shit, dude.
Look at this. Look what it did to me.
Look, Oh, did you see the picture I posted of him? Because he's ugly as fuck.
Oh, I'm sure he is. He's like Frankenstein.
But like not how I expected. Here, I can pull it up. I have it in the Discord because because the Kindle versions have
pictures.
Yes.
While you're doing that, I'll go ahead and continue down this line here. So,
here
Edelon at first, oh man,
like not what I expected him to look like. I expected him to have like this like giant like throat and stuff, and like almost like frog.
Like a frog. Yeah, that's what I thought too. So Edelon decides he's not going to work with Mortarion until this guy comes in that fought Shaban in the opening scenes. You know, like
Palatine Blade.
like character you randomly make that you're like 99% sure is going to die by the end of the book.
Yeah, that's a Dana not special though.
Yeah. So this guy comes in. He's like, "No, I want to go fight the scars for my honor." And Edelon's like, "Oh." Tell me more. Well, this is just really interesting. And like, there's every time it talks about the Emperor's Children, there's some weird allusions to stuff. It talks about how like for a while there, that guy's like Edelon's plaything, and eventually Edelon will like become bored of him. And I'm like, what is actually happening between Edelon and this Valentine Blade? Like, I understand that it can be read a certain way, but it's really like also pushing to be read this way. Because like literally he walks in, and I was like, well, now you have my interest. Sign me up. We're gonna go fight some scars if that makes you happy.
What do I get out of the deal, big boy?
Exactly. It's like, I just didn't know how far in that direction they were going. But at the same time, you have Emperor's Children doing Emperor's Children stuff. They want to kill the Palatine Blade because he has not gone into the full embrace of Slaanesh. So you have a apothecary working with some warp magic to eventually allow a demon to possess the Palatine Blade, which, fair enough, makes sense to me.
Yep.
Yasugi and the Thousand Sun character Arvida, they find that the person that they rescued has knowledge of a specific system where Peter might be. So it's kind of their last-ditch effort. And they kind of have a coming together of the cons to determine what they're going to do. They're either going to stay and fight, or they're going to leave and try and find this Peter guy.
Yeah, and it's very cool because it's literally just like a council of the cons and Ilya. And Ilya stands up and is like, look, fuck whatever you guys are doing. It's stupid. Let's find this guy. He's the best I've ever seen. Let's get to Terra. And then you have Shaban Khan, who was like, we should go back to Chagoris and fuck Terra.
Which is really interesting because if you know anything about this, is it the scouring is what happens after the siege? After the Horus Heresy, the scouring series,
Maybe.
Sundering. Is it? It's like
so.
Sundering, scouring, whatever. Some shit is definitely going down on Chagoris, and they would have loved for the Scars to go there instead. But no, the Scars did eventually decide we're going to go after Terra, or actually they didn't quite decide it there, but they decided they were going to go after Peter.
Yes.
There's a lot of this whole part is very well written. You get a lot of like conversation between Shaban and Ilya and discussing how he's changed since he originally took his like blow. Like a lot of the Scars are losing their spirit and what makes them the White Scars, and they're just becoming brutal warriors. She's concerned about Shaban. You get conversations with Yasugi, which is always fucking awesome because Yasugi's great. Arvida, I see Yasugi does bring up Ahriman, but he doesn't bring it up to Arvida.
You're sure not Ahriman?
Are you? You might be Ahriman. You look a lot. Ahriman wore the same colored armor.
But yeah, it's very interesting because he is talking to him. He's like, look, you have it, don't you? Like, I know you're sick. And the Thousand Sons are famous for their flesh change.
Yeah, Yasugi's aware.
So I know you have it. Like, can I do anything? And Arvida's just like, no, you can't. Let's just fucking do this.
Yeah, Yasugi is the only one that's aware of this. Not even Jagatai makes it known that he's aware, and I don't think he is.
No, I don't think he's around the con enough because he kind of like keeps himself away.
But what I like about the White Scars is they take counsel very seriously. So like Ilya, they take her counsel. Like her word means shit.
Yeah, and I mean she's just a fucking human. And they're like, I mean, like later on, like Yasugi's like, you are the soul of the Legion, which is very interesting because
yeah,
really she's only been around the Legion for maybe 10 years, 15.
Yeah. And then you have Arvita. They've offered to make him a White Scar. They're like, we'll make you a White Scar. And he's declined it. And they just keep offering like all kinds of things that they really respect him and they like what they've done with him. Like,
yeah, you can have like the pauldron that Yasugi had like custom made for him.
Yeah.
It'd be like, look, like you're like an honorary White Scar to us.
Mm-hmm.
And it's even shown at the end too that they treat him like the same.
Yeah, he gets in all the councils. He gets to have his opinion on things. But yeah, so he obviously doesn't take this stuff because he feels like he still needs to be 1,000th son, which is fair enough.
Yeah, it's like there's only 1,000 of them.
As they're about to leave to go to find Peter, another small group of ships shows up, and it is Torgun from Scars, the
traitor.
Yeah, the traitor Space Marine, the traitor Scar, who was sent out to atone for his sins of betrayal. We actually meet him early on in the book, just kind of introduces him, but it is mentioned that some of them might actually be being called back to the Scars to help fight.
Yes.
And we do get that confirmation here. So he does show up to muster with the fleet, but the first person he runs into is Shaban.
Although Shaban made it like his purpose to do it, so he actually wasn't going to do it until he was pretty much questioned by like his second in command after they
Torgun.
had. Yeah, Torgun's like second in command. Was like, what did the letter actually say? And he's like, they asked us to come back, and he's like, well, what the fuck? Like, why are we not going back? And he's like, let's put it to a vote because we don't want to go back, do we? They're pissed at us. We fucked up.
And he was right, because they get back and Shaban's there, and he's pissed at them. Basically confines them to like a ship with no guns.
Yeah, it's just a crapshoot. And like the thing is too, like pretty sure like Shaban like laughs at one point, and it's just like, God damn it! Like, why does it gotta be you, Torgon? Like, why are we always fucking connected?
Yeah.
Which is honestly, I think it was like a cool thing, just like writing, because we had the prelogue in Scars where it was them training and stuff, and it's like, that's fucking cool.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty well done. And now they hate each other.
Well, kind of.
They do hate each other.
So like after like this
Shaban
like,
hates
Shaban like chokes Torgun, whatever you want to call him, and like drops him and is like, I would never kill you, but blah 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 blah. Torgun's like, dude, what the fuck happened to you? Like, you are not who I remember you being.
Yeah, so the 4 years, like we talked about, like Ilya said, really changed Shaban, and that's pretty apparent to Torgun because they were friends.
Plus, I think a lot of it too, like we talked about in the preview, is how mechanicized he is. He's a lot like Iron Hand-esque, which is fucking disgusting.
It's a reoccurring theme in 40K that I think is interesting. But as people continue to replace themselves with augmetics, the more augmetic they are, the less human that they become. Not just physically, but mentally. And I think that's a really interesting connection. I think that is like actually an established like piece of lore in 40K, which is cool. It kind of separates our world from theirs a little bit. So they decide to hunt after. They leave. And then the Death Guard and the Emperor's children show up. And the Emperor's children show up on combat drugs. And they're about to kill the Death Guard before Mortarion's like, whoa, fucking relax.
Also,
so they must
cool that happens is Mortarion has like special like creature, because they had captured a White Scar. And they sicked this creature onto this White Scar because he refused to say where the White Scars were going. They like went into his brain and literally like, made him like say wherever they were going.
Right. So yeah, Mortarion's messing with some warp fuckery for sure.
So he said it wasn't warp fuckery. He said it was a native animal.
Don't worry, it's not warp fuckery.
I found this in the ocean.
This dude was just crawling around. All right. I did my research. It's just a thing.
It's just a bug.
Yeah, relax. So they're mustering there. They decide to chase after the White Scars. The White Scars get to this planet thing first, but it's not really a planet. It's a fortress hovering over a rift in the void, or in the warp.
Yep.
Really interesting. Kind of hard to wrap my head around, but I just imagine a big fortress with a giant pole sticking into this hole in the universe.
Yeah, sure.
Works for me.
Yeah.
Jagatai leads an excursion group in there to try and find Peter with a few people, including Arvida, Yasugi,
Storm Seers.
Yeah, and the the navigator. That's not really a navigator. The guy that they were interrogating to figure out where it was.
Yep. Peter's friend.
Yeah, and this gets really interesting. They basically, Jagatai, one thing that he does throughout this whole thing that I think is really interesting, he's trying to piece together this whole thing. Even before he finds this fortress, the whole book, he's trying to figure out, like, why did Dad do this? He never does anything without a purpose, and this doesn't make sense. Why did he leave? What was his whole thing? And he starts recollecting the 3 conversations that they had in their entire lifetime. And trying to piece together, and he gets to this fortress, and he gets a big aha moment. I see. He was trying to create a way to ease humanity off of the requirements of the warp. So he's discovering that this fortress is essentially a test for the webway project. And so he pieces together in his own mind the concept of the webway project. And I liked seeing that about Jagatai. I liked how smart he was.
Yes, very smart. And I just really like Jagatai. I think, yes, he made some dumb decisions with trying to just fight Horus the whole time, but he makes sense most of the time.
Yeah, he's not stupid. He's not what I like about him is he's not influenced by emotion like every other fucking Primarch.
Yes, and he'll even listens to he was a fucking human.
Mm-hmm.
Did Horus ever listen to a human?
He has debates in this book about honor, I'm gonna go kill them, and then very easily he comes back down to, that doesn't make any sense. Why would I do that? Yeah. Most Primarchs, you can't talk Lehman Russ off of doing stupid shit. You can't even talk Dorn off of doing stupid shit. Sometimes he's got to go
I gotta build the wall.
Got to put this city over this city and then fight the custodes.
That's exactly what you're supposed to do.
100%. But they're leading this excursion into this fortress, and all kinds of cool stuff happens. You have Arvida wanders off alone, and he starts having some crazy fucking visions because he's real close to warp.
Yeah, I mean, but one of them is where the Thousand Suns are, right?
Yeah, he finds out where Magnus is.
Kind of.
Yeah.
He's like, there's no way this is real, right? But I mean, it's kind of where the Thousand Suns. He sees Armin searching for how to solve the flesh change.
He sees the planet of sorcerers.
Yep. Does he actually see how the siege goes?
He sees the 40K universe. He sees the whole thing. Very similar to, was it in Outcast Dead?
I don't know. I put that one in the back of my head.
Yeah, he sees the future. He tells the Khan, because he wanders off, starts passing out, almost succumbs to the flesh change, comes back, finds the Khan, and he tells him, I saw everything, and it's a lose-lose. It's a lose-lose-lose. Everyone loses. There's no winning. That's what Arvida does, basically.
Yeah.
Yasuki gets further down, and he kind of has his own little search party, and his comms are being jammed. So Jagatai gets an alert from the ship fleet that the Death Guard have arrived. So he gets on a ship with Arvida and everybody else from the search party except for Yasugi and the navigator.
The one guy. There's a few other people there that don't really matter.
Yeah.
It's just fodder. You always sit there with fodder.
Red shirt A, red shirt B.
Yep.
So they make it back to the ship in time for the Death Guard and the Emperor's Children to show up. And there is this really cool moment where like you have the Scar's like main ship force, and they're like, okay, we need more time for Jekatai to get back, so they send Shaban out, and they're like, take a bunch of fast ships and just deal with it for as long as
It's really
you
cool
can.
too. Like as like ships are like coming like through like the storm, like they just immediately just get shot at.
Yeah,
And it's so well written.
yeah.
It's like the only
Shaban's.
time like a space like battle has been like, oh shit, like this makes sense.
It was thrilling to me because they were just arriving. It's like, all right, let's try and blow this one up. Let's try and blow this one up. And as more and more come out, more shields get on, and Shaban starts losing more of his numbers, and finally starts to escape. But the Palatine Blade ship is going to chase after them.
Yeah, this is really fucking cool too. Like weapons here, it's like they're running and they're like, hey, let's actually put ourselves in torpedoes and let's go into their shit and fuck with them.
Very like White Scar's thing to do, I think, where it's like, okay, we're gonna slow down, which is already to me like there's something going on there.
Oh yes,
Because they're the White Scars. And
yeah, we don't go slow.
So you have a situation where the apothecary who's working with warp fuckery basically is telling the demons like, hey, it's time. Like that Palatine Blade dude, he's about to engage in combat. And the demon's like, all right, sweet, let's go. And he's like, wait, I haven't told you who yet.
So he makes a deal with the main one before this, and says, I will give you someone who like is like refusing.
Mm-hmm.
Was it the Palatine Blade, or was he talking about Mortarion?
He was talking about the Palatine Blade. Because if you remember, they're looking at the Palatine Blade's like not Slaanesh corrupted at all. And they're looking over the hologram of the ships, and he's only focusing on 3 ships, and that is Shaban's ship and the Palatine Blade ship, which is like right there. And then there's the 3rd Emperor's Children ship that is like also right there next to the Palatine Blade ship.
Yeah, but why? Like, so originally, it's keep your secrets. We know this.
Mm-hmm.
It tells us. Why would he care about the Ren and Palatine Blade? Because he's like, I have names for you. He's like, I don't fucking care about those. I need more.
Yeah, I think in general he didn't care about the Palatine Blade. I think that the thing about demons is they just want into our world. That just kind of is how that is. So when the apothecary is like, hey, it's time, he didn't actually give him the Palatine Blade's name before the demons broke out. And the demons decide to just go and latch themselves onto the other Emperor's Children ship and take over all the Noise Marines and become demons there and slaughter that entire ship.
Yeah, what's really cool too is like when the Space Marines change, those are models. I've seen these models.
Yeah?
Yeah, like hell, like look at the cover. That's definitely one of the like newer Space Marine models or Chaos Space Marine models. That's fucking sick.
They do a good job with that kind of stuff. I do enjoy it. Shaban just decides to board the ship. So the demon ship, because now there's a demon ship, it just says, fuck it, I don't need to deal with Shaban. Just flies away. Goes towards the rest of the Scar ships. Shaban is locked in combat now with the Palatine Blade group, and he ends up losing to the Palatine Blade. But right before he's about to be killed, the Palatine Blade is about to be possessed by a different demon, not the ones over there. Different
also
demon.
Before we lose Jochi.
Yeah, Jochi does die on the ship. It's rough.
R.I.P.
Yeah, I always compare characters like that dying to like, do you remember when in Game of Thrones season 1, when the like head of the Starks like security or army dies to Jaime Lannister?
Spoiler alert.
You know who I'm talking about though, right?
But yeah.
I always compare it to that because I'm like, he was definitely named, and I have seen him a few times, but I'm pretty sure he's just there to die to be like, make this character a little more angry situation.
Yes,
and that's
100%.
exactly what happened. He died Torgon got more. Torgon
Shaban.
got Shaban. Shaban got more angry. He goes to fight the Palatine Blade. The Palatine Blade wins, but halts the final strike because he starts to turn into a demon, and Shaban just kills him. Kind of a weak sauce fucking fight, honestly.
Yeah.
But fair enough. The White Scars win that battle. They take the Emperor's Children ship and head back to the fleet. Now, Jagatai has arrived. He's trying to get an understanding of the fleet situation, but then he gets a message from Yasugi.
So we should talk about what's happening with Yasugi. So Yasugi is with the not navigator guy and a couple other space marines. They find this room, and there's a hologram that comes up, and it's of Peter. And Peter basically tells them, like, look, there was a revolt. And first off, it makes a lot of sense. I kind of want to talk about this for a second. So it talks about how the half of the group betrayed them, and it kind of makes sense because the entire planet they're working on is the webway project, which would put the navigators out of business, and really, like, the navigator houses are royalty. You can never tell me that you can take royalty away from power and they be okay with it.
Power away from royalty, yeah.
Yes.
Or yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So of course there was gonna be some type of revolt, right? Like, there's no way you're gonna tell the king, like, hey, actually, we don't give a fuck about you. Like, cool, good job. Probably gonna kill you. I mean, look what he did with the Thunder Warriors. When they become obsolete, like, what's the point of having them around?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the council and, like, yeah, I think there was a very decent argument that could be made that the Psychers were going to be murdered.
Yeah. And I think anything that, like, dealt with the warp probably would have been. So we probably would have lost navigators, we would have lost all of our Psychers, and that was probably the plan from the beginning. But, you know, they don't know that until they think, this is weird. This is going to bypass everything. Also, random question for you. In Angel Exterminatus, are they using the webway? I talk about an over and under, but not actually through the warp. This has to be the webway, right? That's how, like, the webway is described in this. They're like tunnels, like, underneath the
Look at you
warp.
bringing up Angel Exterminatus.
I know, the book I didn't finish. Dude, I read all but like 45 pages. Fuck off.
Wow. Now you're going to complete the Horus Heresy, and I'm never going to give it to you.
I will read that book
pages away. I don't know. They are being guided by Eldar. But I don't. It
makes sense why they would need a guide, because they also needed Arvita has to guide them.
I don't think that's the case. The only reason I don't think so is because typically there needs to be some sort of, even in the Eldar Society, a machine used to access the webway. But it's possible. It's possible.
If you guys think differently, let me know.
I'm
curious. I think it's the webway.
It makes sense. I wouldn't.
At least how it's described in this. Maybe Chris Wraight read the fucking Angel Exterminatus. Like, that's got to make sense somewhere.
Yeah.
So he wrote this book.
I'm trying to think too, like, if they had any demon incursions on the path to. I don't know. Who knows?
The
but
demon
anyway,
incursions also, like, was weird to me because the whole point of the webway is to bypass the warp and chaos.
This webway was broken, though. Remember, by Magnus. That's why there was millions of demons in there.
Magnus being Magnus.
Yeah. So it was supposed to be secret, but I think Magnus kind of said, well, fuck that.
Very interesting, though. But yes, so we have this happen, and Peter basically describes the webway project. He's like, the Primarch needs to sit in the throne, but, like, I don't know if he can do it. And, like, that shuts off. And then we have the navigator guy brings out just 2 explosives and is like, well, guess what, guys? I don't give a fuck about any of this. I need this to disappear.
Because he works for the Navigator household.
Yes.
So his job was to destroy it, so the Navigators didn't go out of business, essentially.
Yeah, and as this is happening, like, Yasugi can no longer, like, read his mind. He's like, well, shit. This is off.
He was a psyker the whole time. Or had some sort of, like, ability to block it.
Or, like, something, like, implanted in him.
Place blows up, but Yasugi survives and finds the
he also, like, falls, like, 50 fucking floors down.
Yeah, he's like, he's gonna die more than likely. But he finds a version of the Golden Throne. It's essentially what it is.
Yes, and this is where Peter's body actually is. It's just a skeleton, which, that's interesting, right?
Yeah. So,
like, well, shit, this is made for me. Like, and he like starts saying like, which Primarch could do this? And he's like, well, Magnus makes the most sense, and I mean, I guess spoiler alert. That's kind of the point of the Golden Throne, right? It's for Magnus.
Right. And so he kind of has this moment of realization that he, as a psyker, can utilize this giant machine to open up a point in the webway to connect it to Terra. So he gets on the throne and does the duty. He sees the vision of Terra on the other side. He sees all the demons in this webway that are breaking through and sieging it. And he's like, okay, well, we're going to go through that little portal. But before he opens it up and does all this, he sends a message to 3 people.
Yes. So, I think first I mentioned about Ilya. And as mentioned before, he talked about, like, he told her, like, look, you are the spirit of the Legion. Like, you have, like, helped us a lot. You put us in our place, and, like, the Legion needs you.
Such a sad moment.
Yes. And then after that, we get Arvida. He's like, hey, man. So, bad news. I'm a ghost.
Yes.
They're going to need someone who can lead them through this webway.
A psyker, preferably.
And you're the guy. I voted you. You have no option.
So he basically, he breaks it down to you're the spirit, you're the guide, and then the third one is the protector, which is Jagatai Khan. And Jagatai basically tells him, like, no, don't do it.
He literally commands him. It's like, look, I command you to not do this. And he's like,
no, fuck you, I'm gonna do it.
We had a great time together. Like, we were on the plains together. I would be by your side if I could, but this has to happen.
The feeling's not mutual.
It's honestly just wow. Like, actually, like, had to, like, put the book down for a minute. Then I was like, Jesus, like,
I couldn't put it down after that. I was just.
I had to process it because I was like, damn, like, he just sacrificed himself to open the webway, to
send messages to people, and it was really good.
And make sure, like, the Legion doesn't, like, fall apart. Like, just crazy. And something I've been asking for so long. It's like an actual character death. Someone who's been
big character,
hyped up. First time I saw him was Thousand Suns when he spoke up for the librarians. We have the short stories of him. We have actual scars. Like, this is an actual character death. We don't have a Gavril Loken that reappears.
That's why I was not, like, super shocked, because I was like, he's gonna come back, he'll be fine. But then when he didn't, it made me feel good. Made me feel some tear jerkers for sure.
Yeah, this is good. This is beautifully written.
So Jagatai runs into a bit of a conundrum, though, because the Endurance is there, the Death Guard are there, they're chasing them, and only a few of them will escape, so he needs to provide distraction. So he decides, you know what, fine. First, he's kind of up in the air. I think we're going to fight him here. And then Ilya and Arvida are like, are you an idiot? Like, Yasugi just died. Like, that's really disrespectful.
He sacrificed himself for this.
Yeah. Jagatai's like, fine, I guess it's disrespectful. So everyone's going to go except for us, is what he says, except for this ship. So all of the ships make it into the little tunnel, except for the Spear. Is it Spear of Heaven?
No, the Spear. I don't know. It's the sword storm.
Sword Storm.
Something like that. Sword
Yeah.
something.
Except for their capital ship, basically, Jacketai's main ship.
Sword steer. I don't know.
Mortarion blows the shit out of it.
Goes onto it.
Goes onto it, only to find out no one's home. This is exactly what I'm talking about, where I talk about how we love Jagatai for making these rational decisions. You'd think he's going to be like, I'm on the path of vengeance. And the whole time I'm like, how's he going to get out of there? I know he lives. I know he's a Terra. How is he going to do this?
Yeah, there's a whole book in Stitch Terra called Warhawk. He's definitely got to be there.
So I'm like, how is he going to do this? This is crazy. But then you realize, oh, Jagatai is actually a very rational Primarch, unlike everyone else. He's not the guy to teleport onto Mortarion's ship. But Mortarion teleports onto his ship only to be surrounded by
Shebon or Torgon, which is great because the whole part of the people that had betrayed was like, you need to repent and die.
Yeah, I can't remember their name, but yes, they are the group of people.
Like Marza something like that.
Yes. I don't really remember what they're called. Yeah, but they're the Marza, Margon, something like that. Like you said, just repeated everything that you just said. But it's this kind of moment where like only in death does duty end kind of thing. And they were like, finally, like my spirit can be at peace. Like I've been told that this is where I get like my retribution. And they fight Mortarion, and they lose.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Yeah, fair enough. Mortarion kills them all, but the ship is set to blow, so Mortarion gets out of there as quickly as possible. And that's really where the Death Guard story ends. We get a little bit of them just like in the aftermath after the White Scars escape and all that shit goes down. And Mortarion's like,
Mortarion talks to Eidolon, and Eidolon's like, "Hey, good job, you won," because he ran away from me. He's like, "You think this is a fucking victory? This is shit.
This is fucking pathetic. Can't believe I'm working with you." And he's like, "Somebody, you come here." Kills that person. You take me to Typhus.
Yeah, that was his weird thing.
Yeah, so his whole thing is he's gonna go find Typhus. He's pissed off about it. He's like, "We're gonna do this before we get to Terra. I'm gonna find that motherfucker. I'm gonna put him down." And we'll see how that goes in the Buried Dagger, because that's that story. That's the direct fall off of this. But back to the White Scars escaping into the void.
Yep. So they're in the webway. They get attacked by demons from the Third Legion. They kill them.
Not the Khan kills. Attacked by demons.
He gets killed by
demons. These demons come out of the ship and fly in the webway, and then through the ship to attack them in like the main like control center.
Yeah, the Khan kills a keeper of secrets.
Badass.
It's a very cool scene. He actually chokes him to death and like rips out his esophagus, fucking Rambo style.
Sick.
And
they get close to Terra, not to Terra, but close.
Yes, he gets them to their solar system, and this is what I really, really enjoy.
Icing on the cake.
No, Lehman Russ is there, and he's like, "Oh, it's the fucking Khan. I'm gonna be the first one to fucking meet him," which is hilarious because if we remember from the short story, the Khan's like, what does it say? I'll see you next winter.
I'll see you next winter.
Good luck, bro. And then
you have Lehman Russ in his chair. Did he really say that?
And then what happens? We fucking have the Khan showing up, and Lehman Russ immediately meeting him. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna fuck him up." And the Khan this is like, "Hey, I'm gonna teleport over." Then like, "Oh." At first, I'm like, "Of course he wants to fucking teleport over here. Of course it's the fucking Khan that would do this bullshit."
Yeah. For those of you that
let him in.
A little bit of backstory. The reason Lehman Russ hates the Khan is because in Scars, when the Khan is just now finding about the heresy, Lehman Russ asks for assistance when he's being attacked by the Alpha Legion. And the Khan is like, "I don't really know. Like, I just got here. Like, I just walked into the situation. Like, let me figure some shit out, and then I'll decide." So, of course, Lehman Russ is like, "How fucking dare you? I swear to fucking God, it should have been me. It should have been me. And that's Leland Russ.
But, 100%.
So yeah, teleports onto the bridge.
Yeah, I think we have the whole conversation between the cop. Leland's like, "Do you know how many fucking sons I lost?" And the cop's like, "Bro, I lost some too. It kind of sucked." It's like, well, all right, you're not that bad.
I love how the Khan threatens the line, or not the line. The Khan threatens Lehman because he's like, "Oh, you can kill me, but my sons are gonna make it to Terra, and you're not gonna stop that from happening."
Yeah.
And Lehman Russ is like, "You got some fucking balls. I like that.
They're fast. I love those big balls.
Your balls are so fast.
So big, so fast.
It's not a trait that balls should have. Your balls are very fast. How do you contain them? At that speed.
I understand why Fulgrim likes this so much.
Jeez, I've never seen faster balls than Jacketai's. So Lehman Russ, out of respect, escorts Jagatai back to Terra. But that is not the last scene we get. The last one we get is with Arvita, because he is dying. He is about to succumb to the flesh change.
Yes, and who appears? Not Malkador, who I was expecting, honestly, but a subordinate of Malkador. It's like, hey, my master knows about this. He's who we've been waiting for.
Yeah, which is nice. So we know Arvita is going to become a knight errant, which is
just a knight errant, of course.
Yes, a knight errant, which is nice because we don't. All the other knight errants we don't really know. Arvita is going to be, other than Garo, like the most important one, I think. So that's
got to be the most powerful psyker.
Yeah,
he's the only 1,000 son that's been mentioned.
He is. They haven't mentioned any other 1,000 sons. Although one. Sorry, just sneezed there. One was mentioned in a short story a while back, but it might.
Oh, that's true.
We don't know when that actually took place. So
yeah, true.
Yeah, so there it is. Path to Heaven. I give it a 9 out of 10.
Where do you put this in your top 5?
I don't know if it makes my top 5.
Oh, really? Ooh.
No.
I think I put this.
It might be number 5.
I think this is number 2 for me.
Let's see. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, 1,000 Sons.
I think this surpasses Fulgrim for me.
1,000 Sons, Fulgrim, Betrayer, First Heretic, and The Path to Heaven. I'm trying to think of any other ones that make it up to that level.
I had Scarus in my top 5. So mine, before Path of Heaven, I went Betrayer, Fulgrim, First Heretic, Scars, and No Fear.
I think this is my 5th favorite.
That's fair.
Yeah. It's really good. I like it. I like the Scars. It makes me like the Scars a lot. I'm super into them. They might be my first Legion I collect. We'll talk.
Yeah, I agree on ranking. It's hard to give it 10s because I feel like there's always gonna be something better.
Yeah, I have given a 10 before. I think Fulgrim is a 10 for me. I think I'll probably stand by it.
Personal enjoyment?
That was personal enjoyment. As far as importance.
Oh, sorry, importance, yeah.
I mean, this is a very important. I mean, I'd say it's probably an 8. Maybe a 7. If you're okay with just saying Scar's going to be at Terra, then you can probably skip this one. But if you're a fan of the White Scars and you want to know about their journey, this is required. It's going to feed into books like The Buried Dagger. It's important to know what happened to Yasugi. It talks a lot about the warp, those kind of things.
Yeah, I agree. So that's it.
We're super over time, but it was a really fun talk.
I agree. So this is the Path of Heaven review. As always, hit us up on our socials, the Heresy Lodge at gmail.com, at Heresy Lodge. Join the Discord is pinned to the top there. Merch coming soon. Giveaway coming soon. Tips are enabled. That's it. You guys have a good one.
Good one.